fantastic community of language learners, and a huge warm welcome back to another stimulating episode of Idiom Insights. I'm Emma, and I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide once again as we journey together through the captivating twists and turns of everyday English expressions. It's truly a joy to connect with you all.
And a very enthusiastic hello from me too. It's Jack, your co-explorer in the fascinating world of words, ready to dive into meanings, origins, and maybe even share a chuckle or two. We're so genuinely pleased you've decided to spend some of your precious time with us on Idiom Insights. You know, Emma, exploring these phrases feels like archaeology sometimes, digging up layers of meaning and history hidden in everyday speech. It's quite thrilling.
That's such an insightful comparison, Jack. Linguistic archaeology, I love it! And today's dig site promises some fascinating discoveries. We're looking at 4 idioms that cover being attentive, acting spontaneously, facing difficult circumstances, and estimating numbers. These aren't just quirky phrases. They are tools that native speakers use constantly to convey specific nuances and feelings concisely. Getting a handle on them really elevates your communication, moving beyond literal translation towards genuine fluency and understanding. It allows you to grasp the between the lines meaning much more effectively.
Precisely. It's about understanding the intention behind the words, the shared cultural shorthand. So, let's prepare to decode some more linguistic shorthand. On today's action-packed episode of Idiom Insights, we'll be putting these common idioms under our microscope. First, showing you're ready to listen intently. All ears. Are we literally growing extra ears? Unlikely, but the meaning is clear. Next, doing something instantly, at the drop of a hat. We'll explore the origins and implications of such spontaneity. Then, facing a desperate situation, back against the wall, a phrase that really conveys pressure and limited options. And finally, dealing with estimations, ballpark figure, essential for planning but definitely not precise.
A really practical and interesting selection, Jack. These idioms certainly cover a wide range of human experiences and communication needs. Before we tune in fully to understand what it means to be all ears, we'd just like to share that gentle, friendly reminder from your Idiom Insights team. If you are enjoying these sessions and want to ensure you catch every single exploration we embark upon, please do take a moment to hit that subscribe or follow button on your preferred podcast platform. It's the easiest way to keep learning with us.
Absolutely. Subscribing means you get every episode delivered fresh, like metaphorical linguistic milk. And speaking of support, if you have a spare second to leave a like or a positive rating, it truly helps us reach more listeners and keeps our own spirits high. Think of it as fueling our idiom exploring engine. Right, now that the helpful hints are delivered, Emma, let's focus. Tell us, what does it really signify when someone declares they are all ears? Does it change how we should speak to them?
That's a great question, Jack. It often does signal a readiness for important information. When someone says they are all ears, it means they are fully listening, paying close attention, and are very eager to hear what you have to say. It signifies undivided attention and keen interest. It's much stronger than just saying, "I'm listening." It implies you have their complete focus and they are anticipating something interesting or important. You wouldn't say it if you were only half listening while doing something else.
So it's an active state of concentrated listening, a signal of readiness to receive information fully. It implies respect for what the speaker is about to say, suggesting, "Okay, I'm stopping everything else. You have my full attention. Please proceed." It's quite a positive and encouraging phrase to use when someone wants to tell you something, isn't it? It validates their desire to communicate, like saying, "Tell me more. I'm ready and interested." You wouldn't use it if you were dreading the conversation, presumably.
Exactly. It conveys enthusiasm and availability to listen properly. You might use it when a friend says, "Guess what happened to me today?" You'd lean in and say, "Ooh, tell me. I'm all ears." Or if a colleague says, "I have an idea about how we can solve this problem," you might respond, "Okay, fantastic. Let's hear it. I'm all ears." It encourages the speaker because they know they have your undivided attention and interest. It sets the stage for focused communication.
Wonderful explanation. It's more than just hearing, it's about focused, eager receiving. Let's hear how Mia and Mark use this expression. Who is ready to listen intently?
Mark, can you pause the TV for a minute? I just had a really interesting phone call with my sister about her potential new job offer. and some of the details are quite surprising. I wanted to tell you all about it while it's fresh in my mind.
Oh, your sister's job offer? Yes, absolutely. I was wondering how that was progressing. Hang on, let me just find the remote. Okay, TV paused. Consider me fully present and accounted for.
Thanks. It's quite a long story, actually, involving interviews, counteroffers, and a surprising location change possibility. Are you sure you have time now?
Of course, forget the TV show. Tell me everything from the beginning. What did she say? What are the options? Don't leave anything out. I am completely all ears.
Okay, great. Well, it started last week when she had her final interview.
That sets the scene perfectly. Mia has interesting news to share and wants Mark's full attention.
Exactly. Mark explicitly confirms his readiness and eagerness to listen by pausing the TV and emphatically stating, "I am completely all ears." This reassures Mia that he is focused and interested, encouraging her to share the detailed story. It clearly shows the idiom signifying undivided attention. So, listeners, when was the last time you were truly all ears for someone?
Now, let's shift from focused listening to immediate action. Our second idiom is at the drop of a hat. Jack, this phrase suggests incredible speed and readiness. What's the story behind it? And what does it really imply?
Well, Emma, the origin is thought to come from the 19th century, possibly earlier, when dropping a hat was sometimes used as a signal to start a race, a fight, or some other action. The action began the very instant the hat dropped. So, idiomatically, if someone does something at the drop of a hat, it means they do it immediately, instantly, without any hesitation or delay, and often without needing much persuasion or prior planning. It emphasizes spontaneity and promptness.
Spontaneity and promptness, that's key. It suggests a readiness, almost an eagerness to act immediately when the opportunity or request arises. For example, you might describe a very helpful friend by saying, "He's wonderful. He'll come and help you at the drop of a hat if you ever need anything." It means he's always ready and willing to assist immediately without needing advance notice. It speaks volumes about his character.
It certainly does imply reliability and willingness in that context, but it can also describe impulsive behavior, can it? Like someone who changes their plans or makes big decisions very quickly, seemingly on a whim. You might say, she's very adventurous. She'll decide to travel to another country at the drop of a hat. Here, it emphasizes the impulsiveness and lack of extensive planning, rather than just helpfulness. So the context, whether it's about providing help or making personal decisions, slightly nuances the feel of it, but the core meaning of immediacy remains.
That's a great point about context, Jack. It can be positive, responsive, helpful, or potentially negative. Impulsive, lacking forethought, but always signifies instant action. Let's hear from Mia and Mark. Who are they describing as being incredibly spontaneous?
Mark, I was just thinking about our friend Chloe. She's such an incredibly spontaneous person, isn't she? It's quite amazing, really.
Chloe? Oh, definitely. You never quite know what adventure she'll be embarking on next. Why, what made you think of her spontaneity just now?
Well, remember last weekend when we were all casually chatting about maybe visiting the coast sometime this summer if the weather was nice? Most of us were just vaguely thinking about it.
Yes, I remember. It was just a loose idea, wasn't it? Nothing concrete?
Exactly. But then Chloe, hearing us just muse about it, immediately got her phone out, checked the train times, found a cheap B&B deal online, and announced, "Right, let's go next weekend. I'll book the train now." And she almost did, right there and then.
Haha, yes, that sounds exactly like Chloe, while the rest of us are still thinking, maybe? She's already halfway to booking the tickets. She will genuinely decide to do something like that at the drop of a hat. No hesitation, no endless weighing of pros and cons, just sees an opportunity for fun and goes for it instantly.
It's quite infectious sometimes, her enthusiasm. But yes, her ability to just up and go, to change plans or start an adventure at the drop of a hat is quite remarkable. Life with Chloe is never dull.
That description of Chloe perfectly captures the idiom. Her immediate action, checking trains, finding accommodation, being ready to book instantly, based on just a vague suggestion, shows her readiness to act spontaneously.
Exactly. Mark explicitly uses at the drop of a hat twice to describe her tendency for immediate, unhesitating action and decision-making, contrasting it with the other's more cautious approach. It vividly illustrates the meaning of doing something instantly and impulsively. Listeners of Idiom Insights, are you someone who does things at the drop of a hat, or do you prefer to plan?
Now, from spontaneity to a feeling of being trapped. Our third idiom today is back against the wall. Emma, this sounds like a very difficult and pressured situation. What does it mean?
It signifies exactly that, Jack. Extreme pressure and lack of options. If someone has their back against the wall, it means they are in a very difficult, desperate situation with very limited choices or possibilities for escape or improvement. They feel cornered, trapped, and forced to act out of desperation because all easier or more favorable options have been exhausted. It implies a critical point where drastic measures might be needed simply to survive the situation.
Cornered, trapped, desperate. Those words really convey the seriousness of it. This isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a significant predicament. You might hear it used in business contexts, for example. With falling sales and increasing debts, the company had its back against the wall and was forced to make some painful redundancies. The implication is that laying people off was a last resort, done out of desperation because other options to save the company had failed.
Precisely. It often implies that the actions taken from this position are forced rather than freely chosen. Or consider a personal situation. Someone facing sudden, overwhelming, unexpected bills might feel their back is against the wall, potentially forcing them to sell treasured possessions or take out a high-interest loan simply because they have no other immediate way to raise the necessary funds. It's about having run out of room to maneuver, facing a final, often unpleasant reality or choice. It suggests a loss of control over one's options.
That loss of control and limitation of choice seems central. It's not just difficult, it's difficult and you're running out of options. Let's listen to Mia and Mark. What difficult situation are they discussing?
Mark, I bumped into David from our old company today. He looked incredibly stressed and worried. I asked him if everything was okay.
Oh, David? I haven't seen him in ages. What did he say? Is he all right? He always seemed like such a capable guy, usually quite calm under pressure.
Well, apparently the startup company he founded about 2 years ago, the one he poured all his savings and energy into, is in serious trouble. He said a major investor pulled out unexpectedly last month, and now they're facing a massive cash flow crisis.
Oh no, that's terrible news, especially after he worked so hard to get it off the ground. Can they find another investor quickly? Or perhaps secure a bank loan?
That's what I asked. But he said they've tried approaching other investors, and nobody is interested right now given the market uncertainty. And the banks have refused to lend them any more money because the company doesn't have enough assets to use as security. He basically said they have maybe enough cash left to cover salaries for 1 more month, and that's it.
1 more month? So if they don't find a significant injection of cash literally within weeks, the company will collapse? It sounds like he really has his back against the wall. What are they going to do?
Exactly. He looked completely desperate. He said his only remaining option, the very last resort, is to try and sell the company's intellectual property, the software they developed, at a heavily discounted price just to recoup some funds, even though it's worth much more. He feels his back is against the wall and he has no other moves left to make. It's heartbreaking.
That sounds like a truly dreadful situation for David. The dialogue clearly outlines the escalating problems. Lost investor, failed attempts at funding, refusal from banks, leading to a point of desperation.
Precisely. Both Mia and Mark use the phrase back against the wall to describe David's desperate situation, emphasizing the lack of viable options and the immense pressure he's under. It perfectly conveys the meaning of being cornered with very limited choices. Listeners, what options do people have when they feel their back is against the wall?
And finally, let's move from desperate situations to imprecise numbers. Our fourth idiom is ballpark figure. Jack, this term is frequently used in business and planning contexts. Where does it come from? And what does it signify?
Well, Emma, the origin is quite literal. Imagine trying to quickly estimate the number of people attending a baseball game in a large stadium or ballpark. It would be impossible to count everyone instantly, so you'd make a rough estimate based on how full the stands look. So a ballpark figure, or sometimes ballpark estimate, is a rough estimate or an approximate number, not an exact calculation. It's understood to be imprecise but gives a general idea of the scale or cost involved, usually used in the early stages of planning or discussion before precise details are available.
A rough estimate giving a general idea, that's the key function. It manages expectations by signaling that the number provided is not exact and may change significantly once more information is known. For example, if you're thinking about renovating your kitchen, you might ask a builder for a ballpark figure just to get a preliminary idea of the potential cost, even before you've chosen specific materials or designs. You understand this initial figure is just an approximation.
Exactly. It's useful for initial budgeting or feasibility checks. A project manager might give a client a ballpark figure for the total project cost early on, stressing that the exact cost will depend on detailed specifications worked out later. Or someone might ask, "Can you give me a ballpark figure for how long this task will take?" They're not asking for a precise minute-by-minute breakdown, just a general estimate. Hours, days, weeks. It helps in broad planning without getting bogged down in details too early.
It really facilitates those early-stage conversations where precision isn't yet possible or necessary. Let's hear Mia and Mark discussing costs or numbers. Are they dealing with rough estimates?
Mark, I've been thinking about getting the exterior of the house repainted this summer. It's looking a bit tired and faded in places, especially around the window frames.
Repainting the whole house exterior? That sounds like quite a big job, Mia. Have you got any idea how much something like that might cost? We need to factor it into our budget for the year.
No, I don't have an exact figure yet, obviously. I haven't contacted any decorators or got proper quotes. But I did mention it to our neighbor, Mr. Henderson, because he had his house painted last year, which is a similar size to ours.
Oh, that was smart. Did he mind you asking? Did he give you an idea of the cost?
Not at all. He was very helpful. He said he couldn't remember the exact final invoice total, down to the last penny. And costs might have changed slightly since last year anyway. But he did say he could give me a rough idea. He mentioned scaffolding hire, preparation work, paint costs, and labor.
So, did he give you a number? Even a rough one?
Yes, he emphasized it was just approximate, but based on his experience last year, he suggested a ballpark figure would likely be somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds for a house our size, depending on the level of preparation needed and the type of paint used.
Okay, 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. That's helpful. It's not precise, but having that ballpark figure gives us a much better starting point for our budgeting than just guessing wildly. We know roughly what sort of cost we need to plan for if we decide to go ahead. Thanks for asking him.
That dialogue clearly demonstrates the practical use of the idiom. Mia needs a general idea of the cost for budgeting purposes, even though exact quotes aren't available yet.
Exactly. Mr. Henderson provides an approximate range, explicitly stating it's not exact, which Mark identifies and appreciates as a useful ballpark figure. It perfectly illustrates the concept of a rough, non-precise estimate used for preliminary planning. Listeners of Idiom Insights, when do you find ballpark figures most useful?
And with that discussion on estimations, we conclude our exploration of 4 more fascinating English idioms. What a journey through different situations. Let's quickly recap the phrases we've examined today.
It's been another really insightful session. Today on Idiom Insights, we covered all ears, listening intently and eagerly, fully attentive. At the drop of a hat, immediately, instantly, without hesitation or prior planning. Back against the wall, in a desperate situation with very limited options. Ballpark figure, a rough estimate or approximate number, not exact.
Excellent. We truly hope that our expanded discussions, examples, and dialogues today have given you an even deeper appreciation and understanding of how these idioms function in real conversation. Remember, context and understanding the underlying feeling are often key.
Absolutely. Keep listening out for these phrases. Pay attention to how they're used, and maybe even try weaving them into your own English when the opportunity arises. And if you felt that this episode provided value and helped you learn, we would be incredibly grateful if you could take a moment to leave us a like, a rating, or a positive review. It truly helps us grow.
And please make sure you are subscribed or following Idiom Insights. It guarantees you won't miss our next exploration into the rich and wonderful world of English expressions. We love sharing this journey with our fantastic community of learners around the globe.
We really do. Thank you for your time and attention today. Until next time, keep up your brilliant language learning efforts, stay curious, and find joy in the process. Goodbye for now.
Bye, everyone. Take care, keep practicing, and happy learning.